I suppose you're wondering how we got here. It all started just shy of 10 years ago when Donald Trump came down the escalator and said that Mexico was sending us its rapists and murderers. He then ran a campaign where he mocked disabled people, used childish insults, and attacked Muslims. This campaign of foolishness culminated with Trump requesting Russia, a self avowed enemy of the United States, to hack his political opponent. And it worked. Donald J. Trump became the 45th president of the United States, where he pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord, ended the Iran nuclear deal, and embarrassed the United States by literally shoving other world leaders out of the way so he could get to the front of the stage. He met privately with Vladimir Putin and then took Putin's word over our own intelligence agencies as to whether Putin meddled in the 2016 election. He enacted a child separation policy that removed 2,654 children from their parents. He gave tax cuts to billionaires even beyond what they were asking for and added over $2 trillion to the debt while slowing the growth of the U.S. economy. He asked why we couldn't nuke a hurricane, tried to trade Puerto Rico for Greenland, and set the new presidential record for rounds of golf played in a single term. In 2020, though, things got really bad. He had the worst year by a president in modern history. He was impeached for trying to extort Ukraine, saying if they didn't investigate his political opponent's son, he would withhold the means for it to defend itself. He oversaw a pandemic response that was the worst in the world, an economy that had the biggest collapse in nearly 100 years, and civil unrest that was the worst it had been in over 60 years. And then, ironically, he used footage of that civil unrest to warn that this would be Biden's America if Biden were to win. And yet, in spite of that terrible performance, he still had 74 million people come out to vote for him to get a second term. And if it weren't for Joe Biden getting 81 million votes, he might have pulled it off. Not one to take no for an answer, though, Trump staged a coup that failed miserably. So upon being forced to leave the White House, he stole hundreds of national security documents. Those which he didn't allegedly sell or illegally show off to civilian writers, he kept in the Mar-a-Lago bathroom. After his business was convicted of criminal fraud, then he was found liable for fraud and found liable for sexual assault before finally being convicted of 34 felonies with another 54 felony charges withstanding. He was nominated to become the Republican nominee for the President of the United States again. After running a campaign that consisted mainly of long, incoherent, slurring, sundowning speeches about sharks' batteries and all manner of weirdness punctuated by threats of retribution and overly fascist policies, Trump was able to lie his way back into the presidency. And here we are, with this guy as president. The issues most important to Republican voters, inflation, crime, and illegal immigration, were also the issues they were the most misinformed about. In fact, it's an objective truth that the more misinformed someone was, the more likely they were to vote for Trump. I'd like to tell you this is something new, but it's not. It's been going on for decades, starting with artificial complaints of media bias in the 80s, followed by the rise of Rush Limbaugh and right-wing radio, then into Fox News, which evolved into other, even more extreme TV networks. People have siloed themselves off into pockets of misinformation, and they believe things that are not true so ardently that they think those who abide in reality are the crazy ones. Meanwhile, people on the left are finger-pointing at one another, trying to find out where to place the blame for the devastating election loss. But what if the people who are to blame are actually the ones who are doing the misinforming? And by misinforming, I mean lying. And by lying, I mean lying through their teeth. It is easier to lie than to tell the truth. It is easier to spread fears than to calm them. It is easier to identify problems than solutions. And this is the raw truth of the last few election cycles. Only one side is limited by things like truth-telling and governing. There are only two ways to alleviate this imbalance. Either the Republicans must become tethered to reality, or the Democrats must become untethered to it. And the latter is not an option. The longer we go with one-sided control, being untethered to reality, the closer and faster we get to dystopia. So where do we go from here? The honest truth is, I don't know. But what I'm going to be doing in this space for the next 2 years is figuring that out. I'll be interviewing experts in various fields and discussing with them how we can reach the MAGAverse. I'll be creating whiteboard videos that explain the issues in a plain way. And I'll be fighting the good fight as best I can. As we go on this journey together, there are 2 things that you can do. Take care of yourself. Please. Exercise. Take up a hobby. Turn off the news. Watch a movie. Do something other than doom scroll with MSNBC playing in the background. Our collective psyche can't take another 4 years of that. Pay attention, but remember to breathe. Remember to laugh. Remember to enjoy life as you can. Second, get the MAGA in your life to draw a line in the sand. But it's got to be their line. Ask them the number 1 reason they voted for Trump. If they say inflation, then get them to agree that if prices go up under Trump, they have to admit they were wrong. If they say it was undocumented workers taking away American jobs, then get them to agree that if it results in unemployment going up, they were wrong. The important thing is that they draw their own line ahead of time, so that when what they expect to happen doesn't happen, you can help them break the cognitive dissonance by saying, this is your line. This is what you chose. And in that way, we can help bring them back into reality. We're not going to win this fight in one conversation, but we are going to win this fight by having conversations one at a time. So that's what you can do for now. Also, do me a favor, click like and subscribe so we can take this journey and fight together.